Hello, 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 and welcome in to Bear With Us by Bear Claw Media and brought to you by Crave Hot Dogs and Barbecue in Greeley, Colorado, offering specialty all-beef hot dogs, savory barbecue and sides, plus a self-pour beer wall. It's a perfect setting for family outings or a night with friends. Stop by and hashtag Beat the Craving today. I am Chris Bolin, and I am joined, as always, by Ben Schleiger. Ben, how you doing, buddy?
Ooh, great. UNC gets a ranked win. I took Mama Schleiger on a birthday trip to Wyoming, and they played like shit 90% of the game and had some wild theatrics to win the game. Just a great overall day for local football. Yeah, so proud of the Bears. Gibson was out there looking like a pro. Like the whole team just came together. Monster day from the receivers. Overall, the defense, they came up with turnovers when they needed to. Just like a full team effort. I'm so happy for Lamb. He's been trying so damn hard. Last year was just gut wrenching, rip your throat out, sad. And this year, he gets one of these wins. Even if this is maybe the pinnacle, and we get some other wins later in the season that aren't as exciting. This is just his first stamp of he's doing good stuff, and you can't fault him anymore because he got a top 15 win. What is Idaho's 11, 13, depending on which poll you look at and whatnot. He got a top 15 win in the country. I mean, not many programs can say that all season long. So happy for the team, happy for the fans, happy for the alumni. It's a good day to be a Bear.
It really is. That's the best way to put it. Which also been not lost on me that UNC probably has a program defining win, and you show up to this podcast in a Wyoming jersey. But you know, it's a friendly rivalry at best with UW. So
Yeah, just for the little road trip, making sure we collect all of the luck and the magic from the region, so we can have it for next week too.
but yeah, UNC goes to Idaho. If you're listening to this podcast, you obviously know this 49-33. And we can get into kind of the nitty gritty of how it happened. But I think the macro in this case is much more important than the micro, even though I think Ed Lamb would vehemently disagree about that. I think that's usually where every press conference comes to a clash when it like ends up being that differential. But he even afterward he said like I hope this is a program turning win, and basically like our days of sneaking up on people are over. And I think that's kind of the overarching thing here is I anyone who's been paying attention this season could tell you that UNC's much better than they have been in years past, and they're very close. The CSU game, the USD game, even Idaho State was a one score game, but I think this is the one where they actually announced to the world, "Hey, we're here." Maybe Idaho wasn't a top 15 team. Maybe but I don't think they're worse than a top 25 team necessarily. Like they may end up outside of that at the end of the season, but I don't think it's going to be a 5-7 year for Idaho. I still think they're a pretty decent team. If they get Joshua Wood back, I think they're dangerous. They're nowhere near where they have been with Eck, which we've been talking about the past couple years. But I've seen a couple like, oh my God, UNC, like we lost to UNC, like just burn the program down and start over. And I think that's a little bias and probably Idaho fans just being sad and a little bit emo, which trust me, I get. We're UNC fans. So, but just so much fun, dude. And the Kibbie Dome was full. Their homecoming, if it wasn't a sellout, it was damn close. And it was super hype. And then it just, UNC goes up 10-0 and it just is silent. And then it was one where I never felt comfortable, but I think that's because of our history. And I think if we were Idaho and we had played the same game against UNC, it never would have felt in doubt. You know, it was one of those type of games. So just that I can just word vomit for another 15 minutes if you let me, Ben. But it was just such a fun experience that we just haven't had a ton of here in Greeley.
That's awesome. I'm super jealous. It was a road game, but everybody played just like a man's game. We were talking about last week, or I was kind of bitching about the stats, how some of the stats, like it was just you look at everybody's long and like sure, like Elijah Cummings still had a 29-yard run that was not great, but if you look at the totality of his stats, 7 for 47, like really kept him in check. I know he was coming back from potential injury and whatnot, so maybe not his full strength. They really relied on Rocco Koch and Nate Thomas, but honestly, like they kept everybody to respectable, like long plays. I know the 39-yard catch that Elijah Cummins also caught for a touchdown was kind of a little bit of a dagger, but
Those were two. Those were two on the same drive too, Ben. One was like a second down run, and then the second that touchdown was a third down pass play. So those were both in the first 10 minutes of the game too, and then UNC's defense really settled in with the big plays.
and I saw the majority of the game on my phone, so I was following along, but I might have to go back and look and see if it was the same defender that got burned on those. But talking about our guys, like Gibson had a big boy day. 22 for 34 for 350 and 2 touchdowns, clean on interceptions. Quarterback play that we haven't been used to. Pre McCaffrey that we saw stuff like that. I mean, even then, like when we still had Nip on his waning twilight years, like we weren't necessarily even getting there. That's big boy numbers. That's huge for us. And then I think the guys over at oh dang it, Joe and damn it, Hack City. Hack City, they do fat stats. I think they should include our receivers for that. Brayden Munroe, 5 for 151 and a tutty. Carver, 9 for 120. Just absolutely invaluable. Like we just like need these guys so much. Having Brayden Munroe full strength back, he made a huge difference in this game. I mean, one of his plays was 57 yards. That still leaves him at 4 for 90. Like, absolutely great game from him. Dawson Menegatti still being a great third option. And then we just have a host of other guys that got in the stat sheet, whether it was rushing or receiving. Really, I like Curious Boone, like freshman stepping up, getting a touchdown. Like, absolute, like, you still have to like be like, man, who is this guy? And you're like, shoot, he's coming out here doing his thing, getting it done. Like, I love it. Everybody's just coming together, and the defense especially. Very proud of the score. Obviously, we got to work on 33 points, but the stats wise, 7 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, a forced fumble, and 2 interceptions. Like, this is big boy football. This is like grown up defense here. Of course, yes, we got to limit how many points we're giving out, but at the end of the day, they kept the offense. They gave enough width, enough distance that offense could have some fuck ups and just keep going. And we scored 49 points. That's scoring on 7 drives, pretty much. Like
Technically 8 drives because one of those
8
was 2
drives.
field goals.
Yep. So I mean, like even then, like scoring on 8 drives, besides the Abilene Christian game, like we're gonna have to ask Brooke, like when the last time that was against a D1 opponent. Because I mean, I think that's mid 2000s when I put on, or mid 2010s on the Twitter post I put out.
So I know the 35 first half points were the most since there was one game in 2015 and one game in 2016 that I think were either 35 in the first half or above. And I think that means one was Nip and one was Sloter. So kind of the so-called glory days back in the 6 and 5 years. But which is crazy because now like 6 and 6 doesn't feel impossible. It almost feels 5 and 7, 6 and 6 feels kind of likely at this point. Probably 5 and 7 feels probably the most likely. 6 and 6 with one more win over a Sac State or UC Davis. Montana State feels a little bit iffy. I don't know about that one, but the Eastern Washington and Portland State games at the end of the year, I think we kind of talked about how those are very winnable, and now they almost feel like they better be wins, which is a weird spot to be in. But and the 33 points is not what you want, and obviously like it's the most our defense has given up this year. But I think it's one of those things where if the offense scored 30, that the defense would have kept them to 23. It's like just that human nature of, oh my God, we're up 3 touchdowns. Like maybe we're not as aggressive. We're kind of settling back. And that first drive that Idaho went on in the second half took up half of the third quarter. Like they drove it down the field very methodically, and you obviously want to stop, but I think UNC was pretty content. Like if they're going to run this down to the end of the play clock on every single snap, like fine. Like you can have a 1 point per minute for the rest of this game, and we're going to just score another touchdown or two. But to seal it it felt symbolic at the very end, where a Cam Chapa interception pretty much sealed the game. But then Eric Gibson Jr. 50-50 ball down the sideline to Carver Cheeks really sealed the game. After kind of the kneel down timeout tomfoolery that happened there at the end. So it was just it felt fitting. Like all the people who had been the biggest part of this rebuild were the ones who kind of came through. Brayden Munroe incredibly included in that. So it was just it felt very fulfilling from all sides,
Yeah, I was going to say, looking at the schedule going forward, we still have Sac State to preview later on, but looking at it, like Eastern Washington, they look pretty rough. Outside of Nate Bell, I don't know what they have to offer anymore. Portland State still hasn't won a game yet. And then, I would put those in like the likely category. Like those are where we would probably be favored. And then, I don't know, I would put Sac State and NAU as like 50-50 type games. Like I would give Sac State and NAU the edge for sure since they have the home field. But I mean, like Sac State, like unproven product, very good players that they brought in, but like unproven in consistency. And then NAU just like on a really bad slide right now. Like I know they've had 2 really tough opponents, and I don't think that we're gonna, do quite, probably won't do much better than they did against Davis and Montana State. But ultimately, like they were slated to be a playoff team, and now it's like they're in danger of not making the playoffs. Like sure, they're at 4 wins right now, but 7 is like the stereotypical you get into the playoffs. It's not guaranteed. It's not like bowl season you hit 6 wins and oh yeah, we'll find something. We'll find the Gasparilla Bowl or the GoDaddy Bowl. We'll find something for you. No, it's like 7 wins and the committee like puts you on the list. You don't have 7 wins from the Big Sky, you're effed. But like 7 has been like I think there's been a couple of instances, more in the 2000s, but where teams didn't make it in. So 8's the safe number, and I think NAU is definitely in danger of that. And we could even play spoiler to those hopes. Now Davis and Montana State, I think those are different beasts. That's just going to be kind of measuring sticks for how far we have to go to get to Coach Lamb's hopes of, eventually competing for championships. But this is definitely the right track. Taking down a top 15 opponent, taking down somebody that we've played poorly against in the Eck era. Like this is great. Like I mean, sorry Idaho, like sorry Tubbs, but like I think there's trouble in paradise over there.
I'm not sorry, Tubbs. I've listened to them talk shit about our offense justifiably for 2 years, and then they also talked a lot of shit about our offense this year. Obviously, not having watched us play, like box score watching. So I don't feel, you had a good few years under Jason Eck. Welcome back to the real world, pals. But I do think weird. I don't really know how to say this, so I'm going to say it probably as offensively as possible. From all accounts, it sounds like Thomas Ford was being a real bitch after the game. Like there were a couple people on UNC's side who said he specifically mentioned it would have been a different game had their starting quarterback been playing, which yes, it would have, but like you can't talk shit to the opposing team in the handshake line afterwards.
Yeah, I would also say like his composure during the broadcast wasn't great. I mean, it just historically like camera guys always get like shit on for just like little moments, but like there was 2 or 3 times they panned to Coach Thomas, and he was just like looking at his play sheet and just looked up and he's like, "Fucking run it." And I was like, "Okay, this guy's lost it. Like he knows he's effed."
that should have been the play. It shouldn't have been a play sheet. It just should have said fucking run it, because even today UNC's run defense was not anything spectacular. Koch was the backup quarterback who came in as like their running quarterback, 10 carries, 81 yards. It really felt like the Vandal faithful was like, why the hell is this guy not just the quarterback? Why are you going back to Jack Wagner so often? And I do get that, but I think they called one pass play for Koch, and he did not throw it. He ran it. Like, so I think you have to probably have some aspect of keeping the defense. It's like if we had Hank Gibbs line up every play. Like, yeah, it's successful when it works, but you don't really have to worry that much about the pass. Which, side note, Hank Gibbs is a fucking lunatic. Like, he was never destined to be a quarterback. He missed the other week because he had hand surgery, and
Oh,
then he said he dislocated a finger during this game and just popped it back into place and kept going, which is a football move, but doesn't feel like a quarterback move. So Hank Gibbs, like, certified gangster, but
yeah, I've done that before. It's not fun, and even if you tape it up, it's still ginger every time you try to use it.
yeah, no, true. And so and we saw, like, I get why he's kind of like the team dad or like a leader on this team. Like, even as the tight end, like wildcat quarterback, he just has something about him that it's like you just want to run through a brick wall for that dude. Like, you just want him in your corner. And speaking of that, did you see the Brandon Johnson touchdown run towards the end of the game? Which, another
Yeah,
psycho, because he had an open, untouched all the way around the outside. Could have walked into the end zone, but instead, like, dove into the defender to put his head down into him. Like a defender standing like a yard into the end zone, he like dove headfirst into him just to get the contact. And I was like, that it feels like that's the identity of this team, and it's what Lamb's been kind of saying, like, we're going to be this tough, physical, like, just beat you up team, and it does really feel like it's coming to fruition finally.
yeah, I just love the vigor, just love the intensity. It's like we've been missing this fight. Like, sure, we had lots of players who have been trying to do that the whole time, but I think we can all agree last year it was such a I would say traumatizing year for a lot of people, a lot of players. Just whether or not you were part of the injured list or not, it was a bad product, and it was just a matter of circumstance and unfortunateness. But like there was just you could see players giving up at a certain point in the game, and like they'd still be better than the guy behind them. They'd be kind of jogging on the play and whatnot, and just like kind of doing what they need to, and it seemed like a struggle. And now it's like it's this fantastic turnaround of like, sure, 3-3 is not a perfect world, but these guys are excited. They're playing for each other. They're out here trying to make highlights, like you were just talking about. Like this is a UNC team that has belief. It has like it's understanding and trusting the process. And sure, the process still needs refinement to become top tier and whatnot. But I think we're edging out of the bottom tier. I think we're starting to scratch that middle tier where it's like, okay, like we got some definite success here. We have some like good foundational blocks. Let's keep on putting those blocks on. Let's keep on like go until we have a full house built.
Yeah, and it felt like Lamb mentioned that over the bye week they were able to really tweak the offense more to really suit Eric Gibson Jr. in ways they just couldn't with like a game every week. And I it I didn't notice a ton of like difference, but I think there were some like tweaks that seemingly made a pretty big difference. And I wonder if part of the tweak was just like, let's throw it deep more often. Like, let's just throw it 30 yards in the air, Eric. Like, if because they did it to Menegatti, they had those couple plays where they'd motion him across and just get him streaking down the field already, like moving it at the snap. And then and Brayden Munroe being back, I kind of thought that would more so open things up for Carver Cheeks, where there would be less attention on him. I didn't expect him to have 151 yards in his return. Career high for him, probably pushing threefold. I know it's not quite because he's had a couple like 70, 80-ish yard games, but just at some like a crazy stat line for him. And Carver Cheeks, once again, is just kind of I called him the workhorse receiver, which feels weird because like he's a receiver, but he's the guy that Eric Gibson Jr. looks to like all the time, basically. And he gets a lot of those chunk plays down the sideline, but they also kind of he's the main benefactor of those like RPO slants that they like, which they moved away from a bit this week. And also, I wonder if part of the tweaks were like, this team isn't really a power style football team, and that's why Johnson, Gwynn, and Boone were getting more time in the backfield than Matthias Price. Maybe that was a matchup dependent thing, and they saw something with Idaho. But it did feel like they were preferring the smaller, kind of shiftier, quick back this week, for whatever that's worth. That being said, Matthias Price still scored 2 touchdowns, so it's not like he's out of the plans by any means.
Right. And I'm going back and looking at some of the film right now. That Elijah Cummings wheel route to the right outside edge. Oh. He was getting chased down by Sihon Tua, so...
Yeah, they saw the linebacker one-on-one with the running back, and I think Jack Wagner was licking his lips. But that was the only real chunk play they had. There was that run play 2 or 3 plays earlier, but the rest were... It was just very much like, keep it in front of us, and they did. And they really made Idaho kind of go down the field and play pretty mistake-free, and maybe they would have been able to do that with Joshua Wood, but Jack Wagner was not able to. And he had the interception on his first throw and then the strip sack fumble later on. So those turnovers weren't necessarily the difference, but I think they did lead to 2 or at least a field goal and a touchdown, which was close to the difference.
Right. I mean, I'm there with the Fightin' Tater fans. I get it. Like, I think you would have had a better chance with a transfer quarterback in there, but it's like you get who you get on game day, and like you should like what was the spread that we were picking against? 16?
We picked 16. It ended up at 19.5 in like the real line.
What a hell of a spread to overcome! God, Chris, I hope you had money on that, because that's nuts. Like the fact that we scored 49, nuts. The fact that we beat a 13th overall team, nuts. Like, just overall a glorious day for Bears fans. And I did just see that Brandon Johnson highlight. I just found that on ESPN. he was running at that guy with malice. Like, it was almost targeting on his part.
He had no reason to go after that guy. He could have.
He had hate in his heart for that defender. He's like, shoot that guy.
45-degree cut, like, to hit that guy head on. It was a scattaboo type play, and you just, as a football fan, you love to see that shit.
Oh, like, you can see Menegatti in the background even being like, what? Okay, I mean, yeah, touchdown. Like, he's just like, you didn't kill him. Like, it's like the anime like Dragon Ball Z boss coming out of nowhere and just like roasting a peasant for no reason. Just didn't have to, just wanted to.
I would be remiss with all the criticism we've levied towards the offensive play calling if I did not give Justin Walterscheid a huge shout out here. To just called a really good game. And it wasn't even, what was most encouraging to me is like, it didn't feel like we were outsmarting them. Like, it didn't feel, there was a couple cool like iteration plays. They had that like reverse to Carver Cheeks that ended up being the touchdown, which was kind of funny. He like fumbled and then recovered it in the end zone, but whatever you got to do.
I come across my Apple News first before I got it real time. I was like, what the hell do you mean he fumbled it for a touchdown? Like, that absolutely gave me a heart attack, but I was like, wait, touchdown's in the name and it's for us. It's okay.
We were like, because we saw Carver Cheeks and we were like, wait, is that a rushing touchdown if he fumbled it?
Yeah, and then that's what they marked it as.
But it was a reverse anyway, so it was a run play either way. But it was funny. And but going back to what I was saying, it doesn't feel like we just like outsmarted them, where like we run 2 up the middle, 3rd and short, and they're not expecting it. We like pitch it out. It was truly just like they kind of lined up. Good play calls, but like I think they probably knew generally what we were looking to do, and we still were able to do it. Like, I mean, it feels fluky how often we can just throw it down the sideline and come away with it, but it works consistently. Like, it's not like it just worked against Idaho. Like, just throwing it up to Carver Cheeks has been a very successful strategy all season. So, um, better enjoy him while he's here, because he's going to be on an FBS roster this time next year too.
Yeah, I would definitely worry about him. I would worry about Choppa for sure. Yeah, we have some talented guys, and like, who knew Eric Gibson taking the Kyle Sloter-esque route of like, man, you're not good enough to be a quarterback here. You can be a receiver, athlete, bullshit type thing, and then he transfers out and he comes to here, and it's like, whoa, like, in springtime, yeah, I'll be honest, like I shit on him quite a bit. I was like, he's got good legs, but like this guy's timing, like he just lets the ball in the air forever, and it like scared the shit out of me. Granted, it was a lot better than the accuracy behind him, minus K-Box, but like outside of that, it was just like, oh, like shit, Costelli's down, and then we have Gibson. Oh fuck! All right, let's see what it is. And like just like you said, like something about the outside, like even Costelli was finding that as kind of like a star moment in the Big Sky, but Gibson especially, something about that, like right about 30 yards is a sweet spot to just like lob it right between the numbers and the hash, and it's breadbasket to Cheeks, it's breadbasket to Munroe. I'm gonna say like when they were like kneeling it down, or like they kneel it down on a first down, and then they like ran actual plays. That confused me a little bit.
What happened, Ben, is they ran it after the 2-minute warning. Idaho doesn't call a timeout, and UNC gets a first down. So, like, I think they were letting the clock run, and then I think UNC's like, okay, they're conceding. Let's go kneel it down. And then they called timeout after the kneel down. And I was like, you know what? I wish we would have went for 2 to put 50 on your asses if you're going to do this bullshit.
Yeah, that's fair. I did get a little bit scared when they were just had that like air heave down the sideline, and I think it was to Munroe on that third down during that same sequence, and I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And it was like, "Okay, like things are okay." He caught it, like it's a first down, we're good. I was just like, "Oh Jesus!" Like here we go, we're gonna pull a UNC-esque style fuck up.
No, it was just another heave down. I think that one was Carver Cheeks. What really? Because then it kind of really sealed it. But it was fuck it. It works. It works so frequently. Like why not just do that 3 times every? You have 3 downs to play with. Just chuck it. Even
Right.
if you miss 2, you gain 35 yards on the next one. That's
Yeah,
a
because
pretty
we've done
solid
some.
average, I'd say.
Yeah, ever since COVID, like we've had just some absolute blunder of time management, coaching management type things where it's not all season long. Thank God, it's not. It's not. Oh, who was that awful Broncos coach? Nathaniel Hackett. It's not where the crowd has to literally count down the play clock for you. But there's been some like procedurally that was disgusting. But like this one, it was like it worked out. It was fine. Like I saw exactly like when they lined up. I was like, oh, it's top top receiver right there. We'll just see how the break goes. And the break was fantastic for us. And oh, thank goodness. Now the throw just needs to be on time, and it was. And I was like, sick. That was a good risk call. Like I put that in one of the tweets of like it was good risks taken. I think Idaho State, we really fucked ourselves because there was some bad risks taken. Like theoretically, like yeah, the fourth downs for sure of just like play call, what we were looking for, what we were trying to run. Just it was not the right approach at all. So it's hilarious we beat Idaho, but not Idaho State. But that one we did get out coached in a little bit. This one, I think it was good coaching, great player effort, and good execution by both. So like I think, like you said, like the offense was not a huge iteration or a huge like update necessarily. Like definitely passing further down the field, and haven't had that bite us in the butt yet because we've been making all of the throws that we need to make. So that's been fantastic. But overall, I think the biggest clue or the biggest like physical cue that this was a better offense, not only from the stats and the scoring, but the chemistry. It seemed smoother. It seemed like we had a better operation entirely. So it was just not only was it successful, but it was smooth and successful. And I think that's even more important, especially when you want to start messing with tempo and whatnot. You have to have it be smooth to be able to gel well to different iteration of speeding up, slowing down, 2-minute drill, 4-minute drill, however you need to run it. Like, they definitely impressed me on a lot of those fronts of just like having like a lot of competency in the offense. And I know that's a very simple compliment, but it's almost the biggest one that we can give them, especially with our past history these past couple of years. It's a competent and successful offense. Now we'll see what happens when we play teams that probably should be ranked 13th, but this week it looked very well.
And I'm convinced there are no teams that should be ranked 13th. They should just delete 6 through 13 in the poll and then start it back up at 14, because that's like where we're at this season. There's no.
I don't feel good about my top 25, and I did drop Idaho. I dropped them because like quarterback woes plus 2 and 4. What do I have to justify them on?
You're right. They like no real key wins. They beat was it Southern Utah or Utah Tech, and so they haven't really done too. I'm with you. I don't blame you there. I think they've been riding on their reputation, and now it's kind of the bill is due, and they don't really have the money to pay it. But
I feel better about NAU than I do about Idaho.
Oh, big time. I don't think that's even a doubt at this moment to me. I probably feel better about Sac State than I do Idaho, but I'm not sure if I'm quite ready to go there.
Yeah, I feel bad about the pick 'em for next week. I'm like, I want to pick us, but it's also like I have no idea what we're playing against.
Honestly. But did you see that, going back to the Idaho State, I don't remember exactly what you said. Did you see that Jungle Land podcast tweet that was like, bad news is we're much worse than the best team in this conference, but good news is we're better than the Vandals?
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? Maybe. Like, they actually did seem like a better team than Idaho.
That's literally where we're at right now. It's like, we're not the top of the Big Sky, but we're like solidly the middle, and we're definitely not the bottom. Like, I mean, look, we're 3-3. We have 3 games ahead of like Portland State. Or no, we have 6. Well, yeah, because we're 3-3. We have 3 games ahead of them. Like, they would have to win out, and we would have to like lose out basically for us to swap places. Like, we are not cemented, but we're working towards a middle of the pack Big Sky team. And I know that sounds like such a negative like
it sounds like loser talk, but it's not for where we've been. It's not.
For us to be like a 10 through 12 team historically almost ever, like occasionally like 8th or 9th, but that's mostly just off of tie breaks. Like, this is a fantastic place that is almost uncharted territory besides the 2015-2016 season. I don't know that we're quite to the same prominence as that, just because the Big Sky has changed so much since then. So I'm not taking anything away from 2015-2016, but I feel like the success that Lamb has so far is as recognizable, if not more, as the success that we had in 2015-2016. Now again, building on it and getting more than just 3 is definitely the goal, expectation, and standard like set forward. But I think we're on track to have a similar type of season. I don't know if we get to 6, but I think even if we finish with 5 wins, I feel like that's the same level of difficulty and success as we did in 2015-2016. Again, not taking away from Nip in that era, because it was magical. It was great for us. It was the first time Bears ever had a winning record at the D1 level, but like, I feel like the difficulty level nowadays is just so much harder to succeed in the Big Sky.
Yeah, I don't think you need to put those qualifiers at all, honestly. Like, we are getting ahead of ourselves, admittedly, at 3-3, but I feel like we are on the trajectory to about 6-6, but it feels like the ceiling could be higher. It feels like in the moment, maybe we didn't think so, but looking back, it was fairly obvious that we had peaked like around that time. And like, it wasn't like a steady build. It was like I think we just got, I don't want to say lucky, but because you can't just get lucky into that, but the right pieces came together, and it like just kind of worked out for a couple years, where it feels like this feels more sustainable, and it feels like the ceiling could definitely be higher. And I want to say the floor is lower because we won one game in 2 years, but Ernest Collins Jr. never did that. But he had up his more than his fair share of 2 or 3 win seasons. But so no disrespect whatsoever to those teams, but this feels different, and maybe it's because we're in the moment, and I just want it to be different. But it does like it. And like you said, I think, we got to worry about Chappa. I'm almost, as my phone takes a dive, couldn't have done that during one of your rants. But I'm less worried about Chappa. Like, he could play in a probably Power 5 like tomorrow, but he seems like he seems more committed than a Carver Cheeks, who I don't want to say he's not committed, but when you hop in the portal, you kind of open yourself up to that type of stuff. But it feels like there's some belief within that, like, they're proud to be at UNC. It's not like I'm here for myself. It does feel like there's we like this place. We're like proud to be Bears, and for a place that hasn't had a ton of that, it just feels it's really cool. And again, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. It's 3-3, but like, let us. We won one game in 2 years. Let us fucking be homers here and talk
And
about
Chris,
how
this
great things
this
can
gets
be.
me even more mad about the CSU game, and I think it's gonna smolder in my soul forever because we could be 4-2 with a
Oh,
motherfucking FBS win.
we'd be ranked if we had beat any of the 3 teams we lost to. We could still lose 2 of them. If we had won 1 of them, I think we'd be ranked in this next poll.
Yeah, I think that's what makes me. I'm trying to be a good boy and look towards the future. Don't look in the past. Like, don't let the past drag you down. But I'm like, man, I hate CSU even more now. Like, God, like 4-2 with a ranked win. Oh, that would be like stuff of UNC legends right there. And these boys definitely deserve every bit of that, and they should still be proud of every effort they made in the CSU game. And sure, you can say it should have been something other than just that one play that like made you win. Yeah, I get it, but like, let's be honest. Like, if we had 3 plays that were different, I'm gonna say Idaho State was a loss anyways because we just got outcoached. If we had 3 plays that were different, like two of those um, goal line attempts at South Dakota, and actually ended up as a touchdown rather than having to be the rushed ass field goal, um, we could be 5-1 with a FBS win. Like, this is how much of a step up. And then South Dakota was ranked at the time too, so that would have been another 12 or 20, whatever they were at the time. Like,
A
this is how
ridiculous split.
ridiculous, like, the scale or the spectrum of this season is like a couple different plays. And of course, we didn't get those, so we can't count them in our basket or anything. But just in the imaginary fantasy land, 3 plays different, we're 5-1 with an FBS win. Like, that's just bananas to me. And they figured themselves out
It's
and just murdered
crazy.
Fresno State this week.
And one thing kind of the Weber State game last year holds a special place in my heart, just because, like, that was so like, it was awesome. It was so cool with, like, where we had been. And they were ranked at the time, but obviously they won like 3 or 4 games last year. They shouldn't have been ranked. It was still kind of in that weird, we don't really know portion of the season, which is kind of where we're at right now. But also 5 turnovers and 2 or 3 as they went in the goal line. That was a kind of fluky win. This wasn't. They dominated Idaho, and for a couple weeks now, probably since South Dakota, we've been talking. It feels like the offense was one puzzle piece away. Like, it was moving the ball so well, just couldn't score. Like, there's one thing missing. And I don't know if they searched under all the cushions in the coach's office at Butler Hancock over the bye week, or maybe they commissioned some sculptor or something to make that final piece. Whatever they did, they found it, and it feels like things really clicked into place this week. And it was everything finally came together. I think we've been seeing the potential for them to break out like this for a while now, and it's cool to see them actually get it done.
Yeah, and I was say, Chris, I don't really know if we can preview Sac State just because they're such an enigma. But I just wanted to give you an update on kind of the season highs of where we're at right now. Eric Gibson, 6 games played, he is at 66% completion rate for 1,497 yards, 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But just like that's crazy compared to last year. I think that's almost double of what Keone had, and again, all hats off to Keone and all the efforts he made for us. But like, holy crap! Like this is a way different year.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's truly just it's weird, and I don't want to like get so over our skis here because I do think Idaho probably has some things to figure out on the defensive end, especially, and
And we have some
offensive
tough
end.
games coming up for sure. Like I don't want to say I don't want to just throw out Sac State as a pick'em game and be like, it couldn't go like horribly wrong because they do have a lot of highly rated, highly recruited players and whatnot. But also, it seems like their scheme is either electric wire or it's just flimsy pipe cleaners. So it really depends on the scheme matchup, and I've been very confident and very happy with the coaches so far. So I feel like the first half should be really good. I mean, shoot, I picked us to lose in this game, so what do I know? But like,
You weren't alone in that one, Ben. Don't worry.
yeah,
I,
like
I think
19 and a half
just about
points.
everyone
The
did.
fact that we overcame that should definitely be on Scott Van Pelt's like bad beats. A good beat for us because yay us, but also like, oof, how do you like lose by 16? So that was
It was 14, but
a 35, like a
no, it was
35
16.
point swing.
I'm stupid. Sorry, ignore me.
No,
I was only there.
you're good, but like roughly like a 35-point swing in the whole 35 and a half points. Like that's crazy.
Nuts. And yeah, I agree. There's like we can look ahead to Sac State and do our best guessing, and we will. But before we completely turn the page to that, there are two rants I wanted to go on here. Well, not rants. One of them's a story time that I thought was funny. So prior to this game, we were just kind of chatting up in the press box. Went over and met Idaho's radio guys, and just kind of shooting the shit. And Jacob was like, "Yeah, we really hoping for a win here today. Like, haven't seen a ton of those." And the guy was like, "Well, you might be in for one because Joshua Wood's not playing." And from everything I heard, there was no reports of any injuries. He seemed like completely healthy. No word of him possibly missing the game, but I guess he tweaked something against Montana. And the guy was like, yeah, found out on Tuesday. So then I do a pregame, like little minute and a half interview with Lamb ahead of the game. And when we're on the road, or when home, you do it. When we're on the road, I do it. And I just record it so we don't have to like run in and out of the press box so much. And it was about 90 minutes before the game, and I asked like the standard "where's your head at" question, yada yada. And then I'm like, "So I hear Joshua Wood might not play today. Like, does that change anything for you guys?" And it was the most like flustered, turned around I'd ever seen Ed Lamb in response to a question I've asked him, because he was like, yeah, no, well, yes, obviously it changes. How'd you know that? Like, how'd you find out? I hadn't heard anything about that. So it was kind of funny though. And then I assume, he's not going to put his whole stock of what they're doing into the word of what the radio announcer told him an hour and a half before the game. But I imagine he probably went and told like Preston Hadley, like, "Hey, just a heads up," or something. And then, of course, I'm like up in the press box and I see Joshua Wood fully dressed, like warming up with the ones, going through his like complete warm up. And I'm like, oh, shit. Like, of course, I'm going to, the one time I feel like I actually have something, piece of information to contribute is going to be wrong. But luckily, that was just a decoy. It was weird. They ran him through a full warm up with the starters. And then I think he just got undressed after because he was in sweats at the end of the game. Like, but he was in pads. Me and Jacob were joking. He was slapping high fives as they ran off the field back into the locker room, and I was like, "Oh shit, those look like starter high fives. That doesn't look like a guy who's about to miss this game." But I thought it was just funny. So it was awesome to see that he didn't play though, because I don't know if UNC loses necessarily, but it's a completely different game if Joshua Wood plays in this one.
Yeah, no, 100% different. Also, shout out to the defense. Just looking through some of that stuff, like we've been toting up Chat, but he's at 47 tackles so far, 1 for a loss, 2 interceptions. Him and Daryl Bryant Jr. are kind of playing race car with each other. Both have 2 interceptions. Both have dropped at least 1 interception apiece from each other. And then shout out Mecky Toms. I want him to get an interception in the next couple weeks. He's got 6 recorded pass breakups. I would even say a few more than that. Dude
I agree.
has been wanting it so badly. He had one that just went through his hands at home. Like, I want for Mecky to get an interception next couple weeks. Like, he's been busting his ass for us.
The entire secondary has been. I was afraid it was going to be a weakness of the team, and I think most people were kind of, especially the cornerbacks. Mekhi Toms and Derek Jones Jr. have just killed it, and LaDavian Osborne being back the past couple weeks has made a big difference. Like, I didn't even realize what we were missing until I just see him absolutely flying around the field and doing everything everywhere. But it was yeah. I think that's why the quarterbacks have had so much success running against us, is because we're playing tight man and like locking them up. That's why Jack Wagner had, I guess he had 33 yards gained, but also lost 32 yards on sacks. So he only had a net of 1, but that's 33 yards is like more than half of what he gained the entirety of last year. Like, so I think UNC's pass defense is stout, because then you watch what Jordan Cook does against Montana the week after having a pretty objectively like terrible game against us. I'd say he's like 12 to 32. So I think this UNC, it's that what Lamb's been saying is we're gonna play tight man and we're gonna trust our guys, and it burned him a lot the last 2 years, but this year I think it's the same thing. Like they're doing all the same things. They just have the guys that I think they've been looking for. Ed Lamb finally has his crop of guys in there.
And Chris, here's one more fun tangent before we go on your rant about how terrible your certain podcast that you saw on ESPN. Them giving the poor sad goodbyes. But before we go into that, Chris, what do you think the over under for our turnover ratio is right now? Do you think, first of all, it's positive or negative?
It's positive for sure.
Okay, good.
I'm gonna say it's like 3.5 to 1, because the CSU game had 5. South Dakota, I know, had 1, but then we lost it in the. Does that count turnover on downs?
Oh, I wasn't counting those. Though that
Okay,
might be different, but
no,
strictly
3.5 to
interceptions and
1 is
forced
what I said.
fumbles, close, 2 to 1. We have 12 combined forced turnovers to 6 combined, given away opportunities. So yeah, we have 5 interceptions to our opponent's 3, and 7 forced fumbles. That one caught me off guard, because I knew we were doing a lot better at that this year. Since it's been definitely very apparent between Chappa and Butts both coming up big in those moments. But yeah, we have 7 forced fumbles to 3 given away.
That's crazy. And a couple of those, it's weird that like Gibson's 3 interceptions could not be more different. The 2 pick sixes are like as backbreaking and as bad of mistakes as you can have. And then the third one was like a heave to the end zone against CSU that it was intercepted, but the game was over if they drop it, so it didn't really matter. But then, yeah, it doesn't feel like we've given the ball up that much, but you're right. There have been a couple. I think Gibson's fumbled twice too. So as much as we have given him credit, I think he's
one of those
accounted
was
for
fluky
5
because
of
he
those
was
6
on top
turnovers.
of a player, even though his knee was down.
Yeah, that was a weird one. And I think Rocco is the other fumble when he hyperextended his knee and he still hasn't returned. So it was like you don't want to excuse any fumbles away, but like of all the like when that happens, yeah. So not a, like you're right. Very good job, UNC. This is what we expected. This is what we like expected of an Ed Lamb team, and we're finally seeing it.
Yeah.
Literally exactly how we drew it up. And Ben, they might actually be smarter, tougher, and better conditioned this year. I think they truly might actually be smarter, tougher, and better conditioned.
I don't have to make fun of the acronym so far. It is coming true. even if it's like scheme tackling and better ball control.
Then my last, thank you for previewing my rant. If anybody follows me on Twitter, you saw I tweeted about this kind of tongue in cheek, but there's been a couple. There's a CSU pod did something similar to a lower scale, but then the Carolina Panthers Meow Mix pod has just I don't know.
Is
Did
that really
people
what it's
like?
called?
Yeah, it's called Meow Mix. Not even trying to be like a shithead, because we know our audience. It's not like we have a ton of listeners, but like how is that podcast that popular to get so much national attention for like falling off? Because let me find the so Meow Mix podcast, they tweeted out like, we're sick of watching the Panthers lose all the time, like we're done basically,
Oh,
like we're taking a break. And then they went on Pardon My Take, and Big Cat did like the math, and they are, what is it? They're like 30 and 70 something, so 28% win percentage since they started that pod. And I was like, you fucking cowards. You absolute, with full malice, you fucking cowards. UNC was 3 and 25 when they did 11%. Two of those wins came this year. Now they're 4 and 25. But you, come on, this podcast it's broken me. But like, now we're to the other side, and it actually, knock on wood, hope we're to the other side, and it feels good. You guys are just pussies out there. Come on, I know they've been at it for a lot longer, but enjoy the modicums of success that you have, because it could be worse out there. Just know.
yeah. Just imagine, and like college football with so many more uncertainties. We don't have as much merch. We don't have as much access. Like if you're in Greeley, that's great. If not, like you have to make the trip out here. There's just so many other factors to it of just like, yeah, like F those guys. Like we definitely, not trying to toot our own horns or whatnot, but we do a lot for the school, and like I think the players and parents and alumni and fans like really appreciate it. And it's like, if you're gonna do it, like commit to it. Like commit to it for a long amount of time. And like I get it, like it's hard day in, day out. It's not exactly the most glorious thing. But like when there's good moments, they're that much better.
No, truly, I'm like a big you gotta, let's celebrate every victory type of way, or type of guy. And I think it's probably because I cheer for Arkansas and UNC when it comes to college sports. So yeah, like yeah, you gotta like it makes the payoff so much sweeter. And again, it's what, like the Lambs talked about, like you don't make movies about Montana, like you make movies about the UNCs who win the Big Sky. So yeah, it's just that much more gratifying, kind of rolling through the holy shit, like what are we doing here type of days. But speaking of holy shit, what are we doing here? Parentheses, very complimentary. Crave hot dogs, barbecue, and beer in Greeley, Colorado, Ben. Because when I walk in and I see that beer tap wall, I'm like, holy shit. Why have I not been here my entire life? So go, Todd and Heath, great couple guys that they're grinding too. They're on it. They have deals every day of the week. They have events every day of the week. Go check out poker. They have bingo. If you can imagine, they have music there sometimes, live music. So if you can imagine, it is probably it's either going on down at Crave Hot Dogs and Barbecue, or it has or will be going on down there.
Sounds good. And then yeah, we love Crave. Also, fun fact, Meow Mix has only 400 more followers than us. So losers. You can't even get like that much more of a following than we can. Like sure, ours is largely concentrated on Twitter, but I think we've all agreed that's kind of where the sports mecca, the sports news come out the fastest. But also, just personal message straight to Meow Mix. Losers.
Okay, so let's pivot fully, I guess, now, because we've like sprinkled in a little bit of Sac State preview here. But yeah, UNC heading to Sacramento. They're going out to California to to check out what the Hornets have. Thank you. I needed that chuckle, Ben. I wouldn't have been able to keep going without it. But a much more winnable game than I definitely thought at the beginning of the season. Both we've made strides. They have not quite been as good as I thought. Pretty convincing win, 55-27 over Weber State last week. I don't quite know what to make of Weber State. I think they're lower on the totem pole than UNC is in this conference. I don't think that's probably that controversial to say at this point. It feels like two programs going in opposite directions. But Sac State, back to the task at hand here. It feels like since they've moved to Cardale Williams, like primarily as the quarterback, the offense does seem to be operating a little bit better, and it might be closer to what Brendan Marion was thinking coming into this season.
Yeah, and thinking about it, like, also this was a weird one because I think they were on rain delay or weather delay for upwards of like an hour and a half to 2 hours. Like, I don't know what the original start time for this game was, but like this game was in the first quarter. I think when we were at halftime at Wyoming, and we had a 5 o'clock start. Yeah. So it might be a little bit just a weirdness of the circumstance that it became this high scoring and lopsided. Just a little bit of cold players and whatnot. But you're right. Like Weber State, like I'm surprised they got as much done as they did. Their stats pretty atrocious. 157 through the air, 149 on the ground. Like just a disgusting game. I'm still trying to figure out how they even scored 27 in that point. But you're right. When Sac State switched over to Cardale Williams, I think that really made the difference for him. Looking at him, like he had almost nothing. Like they just ran the ball the whole time, which again might have been a victim of the circumstance of the conditions. I mean, absolutely disgusting. He had 12 carries for 139 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jaquel Smith, 17 for 135 and 2 touchdowns. Rodney Hammond Jr., 15 for 106 and 2 touchdowns. I'm not going to take much from this. I'm sure they were dealing with weather, as Ogden has a beautiful outdoor stadium I'd love to visit someday. But ultimately, like there was even a kick return for a touchdown by Rodney Hammond Jr. So I would take away that he is going to be our biggest threat. Since running backs just historically have been our problem this year, as the D-line is good but not great. I just don't trust that Cardale Williams is going to be a large threat to us. Historically, he's not an amazing quarterback. He's definitely a better option than Rashada, which I think, tell anybody on ESPN and they probably fall out of their fucking chair. But it legitimately like a just barely subpar, above like below average like quarterback is the option that's really working for him right now, and mostly because of his legs. This has become a running quarterback option league where it's crazy. We went from a shotgun spread, just huck it down the field type league with like elite receivers to now we're just almost going to like backyard ball where it's like options, running quarterbacks, running backs that just don't go down. I mean, shoot, we even see it with us a little bit. Like Gibson's been a star, but also like Price, Johnson, Rocco, some of the newer guys, and even Gwynn has had a few good moments too. Like it's becoming a little bit of running back central this year. But looking at Cardale Williams, like historically, like his when he was at Tulsa, he had 10 touchdowns to 7 interceptions on the year. Right now, and he didn't really play in 24. Right now, he has 5 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. He only has 803 yards, and he's at 59% completion. Of course, they were dealing with weather, so he only threw it 5 for 9 for 53. But I think we need to be concerned that if they have that much endurance to run damn near 40 times with 3 guys and everybody gets 100 plus yards and 2 touchdowns, that's probably going to be our Achilles heel, is don't let what happened at Idaho State happen again.
No, really. And South Dakota too. And that's scary because a team that wants to run the ball and can run the ball successfully is UNC's like worst nightmare. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but that's what we've struggled with. Coke, even again in Coke with Idaho, even same thing. Once he came in, it was like a guaranteed 4 yards of play, basically, even without the threat of really throwing the ball. So I'm sure we'll be really focusing on that defensively in practice this week. But I imagine we'll see more than 9 pass attempts from Cardell Williams next week. I sure hope so, man, because if he only has to throw the ball 9 times, things didn't really go well for us. But I think you muted yourself.
Got a kiddo playing in the background pretty happily. Let's make that touchdown interception ratio even, if not negative. Let's make it way negative. Let's let Chapa get another reception. Let's let Darryl Bryant catch up to him and race car him a little bit.
Makai Toms get one.
Yeah, let's get Makai in there. Let's let DJ get another one. I mean, shoot, like let's see the safety step up. Like, well, Chapa's the safety, but let's see if Frankie get one. Like, I'm not threatened by how inaccurate and how much of a fastball pitch this guy's arm is. I'm not threatened by that. Threatened by his legs for sure. So I think if we can figure out how to do an option play, like contain the option play, whether that's having a spy, whether that's having 4 rushers and one of them is a little bit of a spy on the line, whatever that might be. But let's not sacrifice the pass rush in like trade-off to be just too worried about the run defense. I think that's one thing that really kills teams is when they're like, okay, well, we got to like make sure that we're defending the run, but now we don't have any pressure. Well, we need to like defend the pass, but now we don't have any pressure. And I think we've done a good job of that. I think Ezra's done a good job. Just want to see his name come back up more frequently. Want to see Ezra getting in there. Want to see Hudson getting in the backfield. Like, I think if we have a little bit of pressure in the backfield, then it'll make them one-dimensional, and we can just focus on limiting Rodney Hammond Jr.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. And looking back in the loss against Cal Poly, Cardell Williams did not run the ball well. Like, that was a noted. He didn't throw the ball well either. I think he was 10 for 24. I don't know why I switched out of the stats before I started talking about this. But yeah, 10 for 24, like a little over 100 yards, but then ran the ball. 3 picks, exactly. So I think they want to make, even without the weather, I think they want to make it a point to like do most of their damage on the ground, which is scary. But also Houston Christian wanted to do that, and for some reason it didn't work in that game. And our rush offense worked really well. But so I think this is a bit of a strength versus weakness with their rush offense and our rush defense. But I doubt it's going to be that simple. I would be shocked if they have 3 guys over 100 yards on us next week, because likely one guy will have 300 yards because that's how it goes typically. But no, I'm nervous, but I'm cautiously optimistic because I think this UNC team has a way of just muddying things up. It seems they make teams play kind of ugly. This Idaho game wasn't a great example of that since they just aired it out for 50 points. But I think in general, UNC is pretty good about mucking it up and making the other team just look just dirty. You know, it just doesn't. Even if it works, sometimes it doesn't work as smooth in the way like they kind of are looking for it to.
Well, and Chris, would you have ever imagined that, halfway through the season, that we would be 4th in the conference, albeit because of conference record and whatnot, but we would be number 4 playing number 5?
Which crazy. And yeah, and one of those other teams tied is Eastern Washington, right? And that's really just because they got to play Portland State.
Just because they're 1-1 in conference rather than 1-2. So yeah, like obviously, like conference standings, it's a little bit of a play, it's a little bit of a ploy, but we are 1-1. We're 500 in both categories, and we are technically 4th in the Big Sky right now. Of course, a lot of season left. That is not our final position by any means, but pretty crazy place to be like, all right, halfway through the season, we're not in the bottom third. We're not in the bottom fourth. We are fourth.
Yeah, no, truly. Like we are number 4. Like, and we've earned it at this point, I would say. But you're right. It's still a lot of time left. So we'll see kind of what it really ends up looking like. But I think we have Sac State, UC Davis, Montana State. That's kind of a murderer's row, especially Davis and Montana State. But then I would say those two are probably, for sake of this exercise, pencil those in as losses. So that's 3 losses. Then you have 2 50-50 games. Not going to be favored in either, but like there's a more of a chance against NAU and Sac State. And then 2 where they will almost surely be favored, which is crazy to think, against Eastern Washington and Portland State. So that puts us at 3-5 to 5-3 in conference, which I think will keep us right around 5. Like we'll be about like middle of the pack, and I think that's not only respectable, but like just buku, like bonkers to think of after like where we've been the past couple of years.
Well, and just kind of like one of those truth by omissions is we're a little bit lucky because we avoid Montana.
Yeah,
So
I wish we would have avoided Montana State instead, but 100%, you're right. Like not having to play the Grizz is, which some people think they're better than Montana State, and I just don't understand that at all. But yeah, if you want to blindly look at their record that they haven't lost, but also if you look even like a slight amount deeper than that, you'll be like, oh, Montana State is pretty obviously the better team. But I think we've just about covered it and more. Ben, any closing thoughts you want to give before we get out of here?
yeah, I mean, just for fun, just so we can be wrong again. Let's throw some score predictions out there. As meaningless as they will be, as last week's was atrociously bad. I don't know if you have a spread at all, but it come to find out last week it didn't even matter. But this week, I don't know. Like, I've got a little bit of confidence. It might be a little false confidence. We might figure out Sac State's actually a football team. It is going to Sac, so that is against our odds. But a lot of good momentum, a lot of good confidence. As long as we don't get over cocky and we play a similar game as we did here. Obviously, like 49, that is like incredibly like naive to assume twice over. But yeah, let's assume somewhat similar stats and whatnot. I'm thinking maybe we get around like 35-31, maybe us.
Yeah, I don't think that's a crazy prediction.
I feel like
Normally,
it's going
like
to be a shootout for sure in this one, at least with like what Sac looks like is like their defense is not proven, but their offense is willing to just go up and go for a alley-oop even if it doesn't work.
Okay, so the FCS Sportsbook, or the r/FCS Sportsbook. I need to start calling this thing the right name because we're relying on it a lot, and I want to shout them out. They have this as a 31-17 Sac State, so they have a 14-point spread, which I still kind of understand because UNC is probably going to have to really. I don't think they're going to get much love in the algorithm of odds until they have a couple more wins against decent teams, but I'm kind of with you. I'm gonna say, I don't know, man. It was so much easier before last week because you didn't have to think about going over 25 points really, and if you wanted UNC to win, you didn't have to worry about either team going over 25 points. But I could see. I think 31. It'll be. I like your 35-31 prediction. I'm gonna go like 28-25. I like
that too. That's what we beat Montana with.
Oh, was it? What year was that?
When we were still in when we were.
It would have been 17 or 18. Yeah, let's say 28-25. I think UNC mucks it up. I think Sac runs the ball a lot, which kind of drains the clock a little bit quicker. And I think 49 was a bit of an aberration, but also what did Weber scored plenty on
27, and they've been terrible this year.
So yeah, I'm gonna say 28-25. Bears win because we're riding the high. I'm gonna take the W with you.
Yeah, if we're going like of course we'll do the big sky stuff and the beyond the den, but just future pick for that, I'm gonna say covers the spread if it's 14.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel like this
think,
could at least
yeah,
be a close game, even if it doesn't go our way.
100%. I don't see it being more than really. It could be 2 touchdowns if it's like a weird, like maybe UNC throws a heave at the end and it's a pick six or something like that, where I could see it ended up at a 10 plus points. But I think it'll be a competitive game throughout. Huh. All right. As always, if you like what we're doing, please, please, please like, comment, subscribe, review. Tell your girlfriend if you got one. Who am I kidding? You ain't got a girlfriend if you're listening to this podcast. Just kidding. But tell them, whoever you're talking to, tell them to like, comment, subscribe, and review as well. And if you don't like what we're doing, the complaint department is always open. That's at Bear Claw Media. I have a feeling maybe the complaints might be about me this week. So have a good one.